Hello, students. How are you, everyone? I think your preparations are going well. This is JRF Soil Science classes. My topic of today is soil structure. It's part 3. I think everyone have seen the part 1 and part 2 of this video. Probably this will be the last series under the soil structure. Okay. So, with that, I welcome all of you to my class. Be ready with a pen and paper. You have to listen carefully. Just write, scribble down the important points, then study it, revise it every day. I will say important portions from the video. So, with that, let's start the class of today. In this class, we will study about the aggregate stability, factors influencing the formation of these aggregates and its stability, evaluation of soil structure, indices, and management of means for getting good structure. What measures we have to do. So these all are. I plan to take all these topics today. So you know about the aggregate stability. Did I mention this anywhere like in the previous video? So, it is a measure of the ability of soil aggregates or soil particles that bind together to resist breaking apart when exposed to external forces such as water erosion and wind erosion, shrinking and swelling properties, and tillage. So, we know that after the soil aggregate is formed, when it is stable only, there will be good structure for the soil. If it is not stable, we can't maintain good structure. So this soil aggregates have one ability to for what the soil particles will bind together, and if we provide any external forces such as not as if any external forces come like water erosion, wind erosion, that strength of this aggregate will resist the breakage of these aggregates. So this strength or this ability of soil aggregates to resist breaking apart when exposed to external forces, it is known as soil aggregate stability. So it is a measure of soil structure and can be affected by soil management. So whatever the management practices we do in the soil, it will affect the soil aggregate stability. We can see that how the soil management will affect the soil aggregate stability and all. Then aggregate stability is one of the indicator of soil quality as it combines soil physical, chemical, and biological properties. The formation of soil aggregates, also called secondary soil particles or PETs, occurs due to the interaction of primary soil particles through rearrangement, flocculation, and cementation. This I have already told in the soil structure part 2 video. It means nothing that of the primary soil particles like silt, clay, and sand particles, they will rearrange, will undergo flocculation, and they will be binded together by the help of cementing agents, and in through this way they will be formed as a aggregate. Okay. So aggregate stability has a direct impact on pore size distribution, which affects soil water retention and water movement in soil, therefore affecting the air movement. A soil with good soil structure typically has a mix of micro, meso, and macro pores. Therefore, with more aggregation, you would expect to have a high total porosity compared to poorly aggregated soil. Micropores are important for water retention and storage in soil, while macro and meso are allow for the movement of water and air into the soil. A well aerated soil is important for the plant and microbial health. So this aggregate stability means it is a measure of, it is a indicator of soil quality. It is a measure of its soil strength, soil structure. So it will have a direct impact on soil pore size distribution, its porosity, because structure will determine the pores and the pore distribution in soil. So aggregate stability will have a direct impact on the soil pore size distribution. Then we know that when a soil have good structure, it means that it will have a good proportion of micropore, mesopore, and macropore. And among these pores, we know that macropores and mesopore will allow the movement of water and air, while micropore is associated with the water retention. This I have already told in detail in part 2 video of soil structure. So a well aerated soil is very important for the plant and microbial health. So for a healthy soil, a well aerated soil is very important. This picture you look, it shows how aggregates are formed. So I will explain this once more. I have told this in previous video. But first, by flocculation and cementation forces, the sand, silt, and clay will be sticked together. So I have described flocculation and cementation in soil structure part 1 video. You can see that. Okay. Then I will give the link in the description box also. So first, this micro aggregate is formed with with the help of fungal hyphae, plant root will also secrete some kind of mucus like substance, and with the help of them it will be stick together to form a macro aggregate. This is a macro aggregate, and several macro aggregates is held in the root. So we, when we pluck a root, we can see soils will be sticked into the plant root. So several macro aggregates are held by a root. So, in the first process, flocculation, primary particles are held together by the means van der Waals force, hydrogen bonding, electrostatic force, etc. So this one, through the, in here, these forces are responsible, and with the help of some cementing agents, these flocules are stabilized. Its structure will be stabilized. There will be no change in the structure. It will be like that forever. But it depends on many factors. So this is the overall picture of how the soil aggregate is formed. So next we can look at the factors influencing the formation and the stability of soil structure. So it includes physical factors, chemical factors, and biological factors. First we can look the physical factors. It includes wetting, drying, freezing, and thawing. And first, we can look how wetting affects the formation of soil structure and its soil aggregate stability. So, wetting is of soil mass increases the pressure of entrapped air, causes a disruption of large cloud into small pieces. So, when soil mass is wetted, when water goes inside the soil, uh, air will be entrapped in the cracks and pores inside the soil. So when a soil is wetted, it will increase the pressure of entrapped air. So as a result, large cloud is broken into small pieces. When large dry cloud is wetted, rapid entry of water causes unequal swelling in the cloud, and the cloud is fragmented along the cleavage plane. So I think no need for more explanation of this sentence. So, rapid entry of water occurs. So, unequal swelling occurs. As a result, cloud is fragmented. The next factor is drying. Drying causes shrinkage of soil mass. So, soil mass will shrink when the moisture content is gone away through drying. The next point is alternate wetting and drying leads to the formation of small aggregates, particularly in fine textured soil. So, fine textured soil means clay soil. In clay soil, a small aggregate is formed due to alternate wetting and drying. Clay soils are subject to alternate wetting and drying. So in that case, small sized aggregates are formed.
Next factor is freezing and thawing. Freezing causes cracks in large clouds by the expansion of water. These cracks take in more water upon thawing and get enlarged further on refreezing. So, when soil freezes, we all know that inside the soil or pores are there. Inside that pore, water is there. So the water within the soil pore will turn to ice. So when water becomes ice, its density decreases. That means volume increases. So what happens is that there is the expansion of water. So while the water expands, what happens inside the soil? Some cracks will be formed. So inside the large clouds of soil, cracks will be formed because the expansion of water will create a pressure on the soil particle. And this thawing thawing is the opposite of freezing. Thawing means the process by which ice become water due to an increase in the temperature. So while thawing, more water will come into the cracks, and uh, that kind of soil cloud, when it is subjected to refreezing, on further freezing the same process happens. That means expansion, it becomes ice, expansion of water takes place, so the cracks will become more wider. So large clouds, due to the repeated freezing and thawing, what happens, it will be large clouds will be broken due to this repeated freezing and thawing. So it will affect the stability of soil aggregates. Overall, all these physical factors, wetting, drying, freezing, and thawing, will have positive and negative effect on the aggregate stability. It can build the soil structure, it can destruct the soil structure also. Then next is the chemical factors. So these chemical factors include exchangeable cations and binding or cementing materials. The first important chemical cementing agent is clay. All of you know that the clay have swelling and shrinking property. That means it will swell on wetting and shrink on drying. So clay act as a cementing agent. It swells on wetting and shrink on drying. Small aggregates are held together by the clay. Soils with 2 is to 1 type of phyllosilicate clay mineral, that is montmorillonite, typically have high cation exchange capacity or CEC, which allow them to bind with polyvalently charged organic matter complexes to form microaggregates. Soil organic matter is therefore the main binding agent in this soil. So small aggregates will be held together by clay particles, because in clay there are so many types of clay. 2 is to 1 type of phyllosilicate clay mineral will have expanding type of particles. That means 2 is to 1 type phyllosilicate clay minerals are expanding type. They will have a high cation exchange capacity. It will exchange cations. So polyvalently charged organic matter, it will bind with the organic matter, because organic matter will have charge. Since this montmorillonite clay have high cation exchange capacity, it will take organic matter from the soil and it will bind to it. So it forms a microaggregates. So this clay mineral, when binded with organic matter, they will form like aggregate. So that is the meaning of this sentence. Actually, the type of clay mineral is important for aggregation. Means here you have already seen that 2 is to 1 type of silicate will lead to the formation of microaggregate. So we can say that soil organic matter is the main binding agent in this soil, like the soil containing this kind of clay mineral. But on the other hand, in soil with oxides and 1 is to 1 type phyllosilicate clay mineral, that is kaolinite, Soil organic matter is not only the binding agent, and aggregate formation is due to the electrostatic charges between and among oxides and cavernite particles. Therefore, in the soil aggregation is less pronounced. So this means that um, the first sentence means that monomorillonite clay will link with the organic matter. So the soil with the monomorillonite type of clay, the main binding agent is soil organic matter because it have cell shrink property and micro aggregates is formed. But this condition is opposite in the case of the soil that contain oxides, several oxides, and 1:1 type phyllosilicate clay mineral, for example, cavernite. Because this 1:1 type phyllosilicate example cavernite do not have a cation exchange. Its cation exchange capacity is very less, so it will not bind to the organic matter, and uh, there the aggregate formation is because of the electrostatic charge between the oxide and the cavernite particles. They are chemicals, so they will have the electrostatic charges, and these charges will attract each other, hence aggregates are formed. So um, compared to this soil, montmorillonite type clay mineral soil, 1:1 type phyllosilicate or cavernite clay soil, the aggregation is less pronounced. Aggregation is there, but it is very less compared to this one. Okay, so aggregation is less in soil, which with the dominated which dominates in cavernite or 1:1 type phyllosilicate than 2:1 phyllosilicate clay mineral containing soil. Then next is the exchangeable ions. You all know that some exchangeable ions like cations like calcium, magnesium, potassium. They have flocculation effect on the clay. I have already told in some other videos that calcium, magnesium, potassium will have a flocculation effect on the clay. The divalent cations cause the individual colloidal particles to come together and form floccules. Calcium helps in binding the organic colloids and clay particles. So what here is that divalent cations like calcium, magnesium, and potassium will lead to flocculation. It will form if the soil have these kind of particles, flocculation will be more. While sodium has a dispersing effect on the clay. The sodium ions dominating on the exchange complex of sodic soil causes the particles to repel each other and hinder the formation of aggregates. It is known as dispersion. So, sodium is a monovalent cation. So, in sodic soil, in sodic soil means the soil which is dominating in sodium. So this soil structure is very poor in case of sodic soil. Its the reason is because of the dispersion. Because of the presence of sodium, it will not cause flocculation. It will cause the opposite of flocculation, that is dispersion. Dispersion of soil particles. Aggregation will not happen there. Dispersion happens. So now look at this picture. Uh, Among calcium and magnesium, which one dominates? It matters. It leads to the formation of aggregates. It can lead to the dispersion of aggregates like that. So, in one research paper, it says that more calcium will attract the clay particles together to form aggregates, while more magnesium repels the clay particles to disperse the aggregates. So the dominance, which exchangeable ion is dominant, that will tell how it forms aggregates, whether it will form aggregates, whether it will break the aggregates like that. So calcium is very important in case of formation of aggregates or flocculation. The next chemical factor is hydrated sesquioxide. Do you know what is a sesquioxide? Sesquioxide means oxides and hydroxides of iron and aluminium. It is found in highly weathered soil. Highly weathered means you all know that what is weathering. We can study in next part, means next coming chapters. We will tell about weathering and all. So they form almost completely irreversible colloids upon dehydration and help in forming stable aggregates as in lateritic soil, oxisol and altisol of humid tropics. So they are inorganic type of binding agent in the soil because they are not organic, they are inorganic. So they also form complexes with the humus. So they will form aggregate, stable aggregates. You look at the sentence, they help in forming stable aggregates. This is because they are good flocculating agent. This oxides and hydroxides of aluminium and iron, they are good flocculating agent. So they will act as bridge between negatively charged soil particles. Sometimes they will also precipitate on the clay particles. Hence, their forms aggregates will be formed. So their effect is more when the soil has greater than 10 percentage of sesquic oxide. So this is important, like greater than 10 percentage sesquic oxide, hydrated sesquic oxides effect will be more, effect on aggregation will be more. So uh, upon dehydration, that means when they are between two clay particles, there will be water, sticked water. Water will be sticked, and this on dehydration means on drying, this water will move away. So when hydrated sesquic oxides are present, they will on dehydration they will come closer, means two soil particles will come closer. So when hydrated sesquic oxides are present, they will form stable aggregates. So upon dehydration, they will bind with the soil particles and form stable aggregates. For example, in lateritic soil belongs to the orders oxisol and altisol. These are highly weathered soil of humid tropics. So lateritic soil or highly weathered soils of humid tropics, hydrated sesquic oxides are very much importance in case of aggregation, forming aggregation. Hematite, gibbsite, geothite, they are some examples of hydrated sesquic oxide. Then next is the calcium carbonate. When they precipitate around the soil particles, they act as cementing material for the aggregation and imparts stability to the soil aggregates. So calcium carbonate contain calcium. So calcium will bridge between the clay and organic matter. And between two soil particles also, calcium will act as a bridging agent. So when we apply lime or dolomite or gypsum in sodic soil means uh, sodic soil means which the soil which is dominated with sodium. So what happens is that calcium will go on the exchange site. So sodic soil will have sodium in their exchange sites. So instead of sodium, calcium will go to that site. It will be exchanged with the sodium, and it will reduce the dispersion effect of sodium. What happens? It will increase the aggregation. So through flocculation, aggregate stability will be increased. So calcium carbonate is one of the most important chemical factor. Then next is a soluble salt. It will enhance the flocculation of clay even in sodium saturated clay. So if a soil or clay soil contains sodium, if it is saturated with sodium, the presence of soluble salts will enhance the flocculation. Here the sodium will cause the deflocculation or dispersion. But when that soil contains soluble salts, it will that flocculation due to the soluble salt will take over this dispersion caused by sodium. So and it enhance the flocculation of clay even in the sodium saturated clay. Next is a organic compound like fat, wax, lignin, protein, resin, etc. So they play a key role in the aggregation and stabilization of soil structure. For example, fat, wax, lignin, protein, resin. Humus help in aggregation by forming clay humus complex. So humus will form, that is humus will act as a bridge with clay. Humus will bridge with the clay to form a complex. So clay humus complex is formed when humus react with clay, or if a clay soil have more humus, clay humus complex is formed, and this way it will help in the aggregation. Then next important concept is that only calcium humus is flocculated. Calcium humus complex is flocculated due to its tendency to form complex with organic compound through coordination linkage. So, and magnesium, potassium, hydrogen, and sodium humus is deflocculated and does not help in aggregation. This is because calcium will bind with the humus through coordination linkage. This linkage is absent when magnesium, potassium, hydrogen, sodium is linked with the humus. Hence, when humus forms complex with magnesium, potassium, hydrogen, sodium, deflocculation happens, aggregation will not happen. When calcium forms complex with the humus, there will be flocculation. So these two sentences are very important. It can be asked in some true or false or assertion reason type of questions. So only calcium humus is complex. When we are normally telling only sodium will cause deflocculation or dispersion. Deflocculation means dispersion, while calcium, magnesium, potassium, hydrogen will cause flocculation. But when it forms complex with humus, only calcium humus will be flocculated, while all other like magnesium, potassium, hydrogen, sodium humus complex will be deflocculated. So this is an exception type of sentence. Then, in soil, there are three kinds of organic matter. First one is transient, next is persistent, next is temporary. So, transient means a polysaccharide fraction of soil organic matter. Persistent means they are very persistent in nature. That is, they are because they are resistant aromatic compound that are associated with the polyvalent metal cation and strongly adsorbed polymer. Then next is a temporary. That means fungal hyphae and plant root. So among these three, transient, persistent, temporary, only temporary organic matter will stabilize the macro aggregate. So macro aggregate will be formed when the soil particles are bound together by using the fungal hyphae and plant root, while transient and persistent organic matter will stabilize the micro aggregate. Micro aggregate size will be less than the macro aggregate. So small sized aggregates are stabilized. They will be bound together, binded together by this transient, that means polysaccharide fraction of soil organic matter, and persistent, that means resistant organic compound. The transient and persistent will stabilize the microaggregates, whereas temporary organic matter stabilizes the macroaggregate. And soil organic matter's role in aggregate stability can be difficult to determine due to several reasons. Like because of this reason, that all the part of organic matter will not stabilize same kind of aggregate. There are macro aggregates and micro aggregate. So we can't say that transient fraction organic matter stabilizes macro aggregate, because it will not. It will stabilize only micro aggregate. And so only a part of soil organic matter plays a role in aggregate stability. There is a threshold of soil organic matter above which aggregate stability cannot be improved by the addition of organic matter. So in a poor structured soil, we add organic matter. Soil structure improved. Then if you want to add more, if you want to improve more, like structure in more quality, quality wise, if we add more organic matter also, we can't say that it will increase the soil structure. Up to a threshold only, the addition of soil organic matter will improve the soil structure, or which it stabilizes the aggregate. So organic matter is not only the primary binding agent in that particular soil. So if addition of more and more organic matter will not cause any change in the any improvement in the soil structure, we can conclude that organic matter is not the primary, not only the primary, not the primary binding agent in that soil. Understand? The next chemical factor is synthetic soil conditioner. They are long chain organic compound are also used for the soil aggregation. These compounds attach themselves to the exchange sites of clay and bind the clay particles together. The compounds are long chain polymeric organic material with a high molecular weight that bind soil particles together and form aggregates. Example polymer. Addition of these compounds in relatively low small amounts can produce a good structure even in sandy soil. So this is a synthetic soil conditioner. For example, polymer. When we add it in sandy soil, only small amount is required for them because they are a long chain. They are chain like structure, organic material. They are very eco-friendly and high molecular weight. They will bind the soil particles together and help in aggregation. So, but their amount to add in the soil is very less. So they are very cost effective, eco-friendly. Way to improve the soil structure. So synthetic soil conditioner are also one chemical factor. Then next we can move to biological factor. Soil biological processes are most important in soil that do not have 2:1 phyllosilicate clay minerals and therefore lacking in shrinking and swelling properties that can aid in the structural formation. Soil organism can have a indirect and direct effect on the soil structure at different level of soil aggregate formation. Macro aggregates are held together by plant roots and fungal hyphae, while meso aggregates are held together by the combination of chemical agents including sesquioxide and persistent organic matter, while microaggregates are held together by persistent organic matter bond. Then soil fauna mix the soil particles with organic matter to create close association with one another, contributing to soil carbon sponge. Now here nothing is there, like it says that when soil do not have any uh, expanding type of phyllosilicate clay mineral, if there is active biological processes taking place in the soil, aggregation will happen. So here in the case, this soil organism, the soil organism means the plants and animals which is found in the soil, they will have directly and indirectly affect the soil structure or an aggregate formation. So there are three types of aggregates: macro, meso, and micro. Macro means greater through 2000 micrometer in diameter, while 20 to 250 micrometer they are known as meso aggregates. Micro aggregates are 2 to 20 micrometer in size. So macro aggregates are held together by plant root and fungal hyphae. I have already told the temporary type of organic matter. They are fungal hyphae and plant root. They will stabilize the macro aggregate. So macro aggregates will be held together by plant roots and fungal hyphae, while meso aggregates are held together by cementing agent and persistent organic matter, while micro aggregates are held together by persistent organic bonds. So, in the case of micro aggregates are very small, so organic bonds will to be organic bonds should be there for stabilizing the micro aggregates. Soil fauna also plays a role in aggregation. Then the plants and plant residues help in the soil particles to bind together. Gelatinous organic compounds excreted from the roots bind the soil particles together. So roots will secrete the organic compound, gelatinous organic compound. They are gel-like, so they will have a sticking property. Due to that sticking property, soil particles are also stick together, bind together, aggregates will be formed. So root hairs penetrate the soil clods and create points of weakness and ultimately break the cloud into aggregates. So root hairs, since they are very small, they also have the penetration capacity. They will penetrate inside the soil cloud. Because of that pressure, the soil cloud will be broken down to several aggregates. And they also help in the root soil particles to stick together in a granular form. So when we take out a plant, you can see the soil will be stick together to the root hairs. This is because they will help the soil particles to stick together in the granular form because they will excrete some gelatinous organic compound which will stick the roots together. Then we can see the importance of roots and fungal hyphae. They are very important factors in the aggregate formation. They are considered as a temporary aggregate binding agent, typically associated with early stages of aggregate formation. Roots can act as binding agent themselves and produce large amount of exudates that supply carbon to the rhizosphere organism and soil fauna. Also, since roots uptake water, they can have a drying effect on the soil in the vicinity. Fungal hyphae can serve as a binding agent that stabilizes the macroaggregates, and they also secrete the polysaccharides and contribute to the microaggregation. So they whenever the soil will have roots and fungal hyphae, they will have a temporary aggregate binding effect. So at the early stages of aggregate formation, these roots and fungal hyphae are very important. So they act as a binding agent. The roots will produce exudates. I have already told. They will supply carbon to the exudates, will be rich in carbon. They are organic. Organic means they are rich in carbon and hydrogen. So they will supply carbon to the rhizosphere. Rhizosphere means the portion of the soil which is nearer to the root. So to the soil fauna also they will supply carbon. Soil fauna means the animals which is found in the soil. They can be small or bigger. Then also the since roots uptake water. So uh, roots, the primary function of roots is to uptake water, to absorb water from the soil. So they will dry the soil when they take up the water from the soil. Then fungal hyphae serve as a binding agent. Hyphae means they will form a mat in the soil. They will stabilize the macro aggregates. They also secrete a polysaccharide. This polysaccharide also contribute to the microaggregation. But the uh, primary role of fungal hyphae is to stabilize the macroaggregate. So fungal hyphae and roots will stabilize the macroaggregate. Then plant residues serve as a food for microbes which play a prime role in the aggregate formation and produce sticky substance on decomposition. Microorganisms decompose plant and animal residues to form humus, and this humus bind the particles together. Algae, fungi, actinomycetes and bacteria which constitute the living matter in the soil bind the soil particles more effectively than the exchangeable ion. Then we can see the role of soil fauna. Soil fauna means animals that is found in the soil, like rodents, earthworms, spider, mites, nematode, insect, centipede, millipedes, etc. They are some examples of soil fauna. So these are the functions they do in the soil. They break down the organic matter. So they will create pathway and tunnels. They will bind the soil particles. They will mix the soil layer, affects the microbial community. So in this way, they will increase. You look the tunnels made by the soil organism. They will increase the aeration, water retention, overall health of the soil. So earthworm, earthworm do is that they will consume the organic matter present in the soil. So by consuming them, they will break down the bigger molecules to the smaller molecules into several decomposable forms. They will reduce the size of that organic matter. So this process can release nutrients to the soil. Hence, the soil health will be increased. Soil fertility will be increased. These nutrients they can be taken up by the plant. They also created tunnel, a burrow like this. So through this burrow, water infiltration can take place. Root penetration will be very easier when the soil have this kind of um, furrow or tunnel. Then they also earthworm, what they do, they will secrete mucus like you can see mucus like substance which when we touch on the earthworm. So that mucus like substance will mix the organic compound with the soil. Like so the organic or fertility of the soil can be increased. It will bind the particles together because they have a sticking property. It makes the soil resistant to the erosion and the compaction. So since they stick the soil particles together, erosion will not happen. Will not happen means it will be become resistant to the erosion. So these all things will can increase the water infiltration into the soil. Then aeration will be improved. The plant growth can be improved. Then next one soil layer mixing can happen. So that transport the nutrients that are present in the surface deep into the soil where nutrients are very less. So they will help the nutrient cycling. Then microbial community inside this soil will be also affected. Means soil fauna. This kind of soil fauna will feed on the microorganisms, maybe pathogens, bad microorganisms also. So will help the nutrient cycling. Overall, it will be increased. So the small animals like rodent, earthworms, spider mite, nematode, insects, centipede, millipedes, etc. facilitate the formation of soil aggregates by the way of burrowing, tunneling the soil, or thoroughly mixing the organic residues in the soil. When earthworm ingest the soil mineral and organic compound, they can increase the structural stability of that soil through increased carbon mineral association and formation of cast, which increases aggregate stability. Some earthworms are able to create stable microaggregates by the flocculation of calcium ion during digestion. So this my earthworm can have a positive effect on the flocculation of calcium. Some microarthropods, including mite, columbola, although they are small, because they are a large number of them, they are able to improve the soil structure. These organisms are more associated with the forest ecosystem. They ingest a mixture of humid material and plant debris. So their production of fecal pellets can improve the soil structure. Then next factor is agricultural management. So agriculture management, we have tillage. Tillage will disrupt the soil aggregation in many ways. It will bring subsoil into the surface, thereby exposing it to the precipitation and freeze thaw cycle. It changes the soil moisture, temperature, oxygen level, thereby increasing the decomposition and carbon loss. Using reduced tillage or zero tillage practices have been shown to improve soil aggregation compared to the conventional tillage method. Use of cover crops can be shown to increase the soil aggregation due to an increase in the soil organic matter and soil cover that they provide. So tillage will disrupt the soil structure, while reduced tillage or zero tillage can increase the soil structure, improve the soil structure compared to the conventional old tillage methods. And we can also practice cover cropping. Then perennial growths require halt in tillage, which prevents aggregate disruption and allows a plant to develop extensive root system, which can promote aggregate stability. So perennial crops will require more years to harvest to get into the harvestable stage. So we will not use tillage that much in the case of perennial crops. So use growing perennial crops it can help in the to reduce a disruption in the soil structure. They will help to build extensive root system. Okay. Then additionally, the inputs of organic matter in the form of mulch or manure application can increase the aggregation by adding carbon to the soil matrix and increasing the rate of biological activity in the soil. So when we add organic matter, what happens? Aggregation improves. Higher stocking rate of livestock such as cattle can decrease aggregate stability of the soil due to compaction of the soil and loss of vegetation. So when we the grazing improved or extensive grazing can lead to the loss of vegetation. When vegetation is lost, erosion will happen. When they walk over the land, compaction of soil will also happen. So it is very it causes negative effect on the aggregate stability. The next is a soil conditioner. What is a soil conditioner? You all know that there are amendments that can be applied to the soil to improve the properties such as structure, water retention, to improve the soils for their intended use, but not specifically for lime soil fertility, although many soil amendments can alter the soil fertility. So they can improve the soil properties. For example, for improving soil structure, water retention, etc. Soil fertility also they can increase. Some typical amendments like gypsum, sulfur, compost, wood waste, peat, manure, biosolids, and biological amendments are some examples of soil conditioner. In order to be effective, soil conditioner must be spread evenly across a field and be applied at the correct time to prevent the nutrient loss and have correct nutrient content. Additionally, application of soil conditioner in is site specific and should be approached on a case by case basis, as a soil conditioner may not work on all soils equally. So we have to look the fertility or the condition of the soil for applying the soil conditioner also. Next factor is the climate. Aggregate stability can be impacted by the amount and intensity of precipitation. Higher amount of precipitation and irregular rainfall events can decrease aggregate stability and increase erosion. So when an area gets high amount of precipitation, what happens? Erosion will be increased, aggregate stability or soil structure get disrupted. Also, higher temperature can increase the rate of decomposition in the soil, which reduces the amount of carbon on the site, which can reduce the aggregate stability. So, in arid climate, climate, there is high temperature, high soil temperature. The decomposition that soil do not have any organic matter because of the higher temperature, the rate of decomposition increased. So all the organic matter got decomposed. So amount of carbon decreased. Aggregate stability is reduced. You can't see an aggregate in the desert climate. This is the reason. Higher temperature increases rate of decomposition in the soil. And many of the influences that climate has on aggregate stability are due to the interaction of soil type with drying, wetting, drying, shrinking, swelling, and freezing, thawing. So the climate will have a wetting, drying effect, shrinking, swelling effect, freezing, thawing effect, etc. etc. So these all are about the aggregate stability. This was a big, uh, huge, very wide topic, but you have to understand how this they affect, like the flocculation, deflocculation, these chemical factors, how they affect, which soil, like hydrated sesqui oxide on lateritic soil. Then this sentence you have to remember. When these two sentences are very important. I planned to take all the complete soil structure in this video, but I couldn't. Time is limited. So I will take the remaining portion in the coming lecture. So if you have any doubt, you can ask. If you have any suggestions also, you can comment. You have to study consistently. So thank you everyone. Thank you for listening.